And we're going to look at complex numbers and division. When we have division, we like a square root that we can't have in the bottom. We're not allowed to have an I anywhere in the denominator of a fraction. So we need to rationalize the denominator. So that just means get rid of the I downstairs. So I need to go back to my list of i's. I know I have I to the first is I squared is -1, I to the third is I to the fourth is 1. So if I want my i's to disappear, no longer want an I there, I want it to turn into either a -1 or a 1. So I'm looking to try and get I squared or I to the fourth on the bottom when we change things, okay? So whenever I have a fraction, whenever I have any number, I'm allowed to multiply by a value of 1. 1 doesn't change the problem. I'm allowed to multiply by a value of 1 over 1, because again, that is 1. When you have a number over itself, it's just a value of 1. So here, I'm going to multiply by a value of I over I. I's are numbers. I have a number over itself. It's going to simplify down to 1. When I multiply by 1, the value does not change, but the look of it does. So let's multiply through. If I do this, I'm going to get 2i squared on the bottom. And up top, I'm going to get -5i. So I squareds, I don't like, but I squared simplifies down to a -1. So I can rewrite and say 2 times -1 over -5i. Take this again, that's going to give me -2 on the bottom, -5i up top. I can do one last easy simplification. The two negatives cancel out, and you're left with just 5i over 2. So there's going to be steps. There's going to be work that we have to go through to get there. Let's try it again. So I have an I in the bottom. I don't want that I there. So let's multiply by a value of 1, or just I over I. Up top, we're going to have to distribute this I to everything. So we're going to get -3i, and then -2i squared. And we'll come back on the bottom, -6i squared. Let's take care of those I squareds. I squared is -1. So if I were to rewrite this, -3i minus 2 times -1 all over -6 times -1, giving us -3i plus 2 and 6. And here I'm actually going to go one more step further, because I like to have that complex form of a plus bi. I want to have the real number in the front, the I in the back. So I'm just going to change that and say 2 plus 3i over 6. So I just just switch the order of those two numbers up top. Okay, so when you have a monomial, one group down in the bottom, you can just multiply by I over I. When you have a binomial, things get a little more complicated. You have to multiply by its conjugate. So we're looking for something that's very similar to the denominator, but with one small little variation, one small little change. So multiply by a value of 1. That 1 is going to be a 1 and a 2i, 1 and a 2i. What makes the conjugate is we have a minus here. I'm going to change the sign in the middle to the opposite, to a plus. Now, like polynomials, let's distribute around. Up top, you're going to have 7 and 14i. On the bottom, we're going to have, if I distribute this 1, I'm going to say 1 times 1, giving me a 1. 1 times 2i, positive 2i. Let's distribute again, but the negative. we're going to say negative 2i and negative 4i squared. So now let's simplify everything. 2i, negative 2i, they cancel out. One's positive, one's negative. I squared is going to turn to a negative 1. So I really have negative 4 times negative 1 right there, which gives us 4. Now, let's combine that. 1 and 4 gives us a 5 up top, 7 plus 14i. So there's a lot of simplifying. There's a lot of simplifying, a lot of crossing out, and going on and on and on. All right, one more time. We want to multiply by a value of 1. We want to use the conjugate when we rationalize. So that's going to be 6, 4i, 6, 4i. Where we have a plus sign here, I want to now put a minus sign. It's always going to be what's in the middle. I don't care about what's in front. What's in front here can stay. It's this middle number that changes in the denominator. Now, let's distribute. 1 and 6 gives us 6. 1 and negative 4i gives us negative 4i. Distribute the 5i, giving us 30i and negative 20i squared. Do it on the bottom. Distribute 6 to give us 36 and minus 24. Distribute the 4i plus 24i minus 16i squared. So the beauty about using this conjugate with the plus and the minus is every time that's always going to happen. Those middle terms are always going to cancel out with each other. They're always going to find a way. Now we got to start simplifying. So here's where it gets a little ugly. So we're going to say negative 16 and negative 1, giving us a positive 16. So 36 plus 16 will give us 52. Up top, negative 20 and negative 1, giving us a positive 20, which combine those, you're going to have 20 and 6 to give us 26. And 30 minus 4 to be plus 26i. And we can simplify again. 26, 26, and 52 all share a number. They all share 26. So we're going to say 1 plus 1i all over 2. And that is complex numbers with division and rationalizing the denominator.